The Second World War, an astonishing conflict that reshaped the world. Amidst the chaos and destruction, countless individuals played pivotal roles, some celebrated as heroes, others condemned as villains. But what of those caught in the grey area? Those who, while undeniably part of a monstrous regime, grappled with their own conscience. One such figure is Alfred Jodl, a high-ranking German general whose name is often overshadowed by those of Hitler and his inner circle. Yet his decisions and actions had far-reaching consequences. This is his story, a man who ascended to the heights of power only to plummet into the depths of history. A complex figure caught in the machinery of war, his life raises profound questions about obedience, responsibility, and the blurred lines between duty and morality. Hailing from Bavaria, Alfred Jodl embodied the quintessential Prussian officer. His early life was steeped in the rigorous discipline and unwavering loyalty characteristic of the German military. A natural aptitude for strategy and tactics propelled him through the ranks, earning him a reputation as a skilled and promising officer. By the outbreak of World War I, Jodl had gained valuable combat experience, demonstrating courage and tactical acumen. His service during this conflict laid the foundation for his subsequent career. Following the war, Jodl continued to climb the military ladder, honing his strategic thinking and administrative skills. The rise of the Nazi Party and the rearmament of Germany provided new opportunities for ambitious officers like Jodl. His reputation as a competent and loyal soldier caught the attention of the regime's leadership. In 1935, he was appointed to a key position within the War Ministry, where he played a crucial role in the planning and preparation for Germany's aggressive expansionist policies. Jodl's career reached its peak with his appointment as Chief of Operations for the Armed Forces High Command in 1939. This position placed him at the heart of the Nazi war machine, with direct access to Adolf Hitler. Jodl became instrumental in the planning and execution of Germany's military campaigns, from the swift conquest of Poland to the audacious invasion of France. His strategic acumen was undeniable, and his loyalty to the Führer unquestioned. However, the allure of power and the intoxicating atmosphere of success masked the growing darkness of the Nazi regime. As Germany's military fortunes began to wane, Jodl found himself increasingly entangled in the regime's atrocities. The decisions made within the High Command would ultimately shape the course of history, and Jodl's name would become inextricably linked to them. As Chief of Operations for the Armed Forces High Command, Jodl occupied a pivotal position within the Nazi war machine. His signature was on countless orders, plans, and directives, making him a central figure in the orchestration of Germany's military campaigns. The infamous Commissar Order authorizing the execution of political commissars in the Soviet army bears Jodl's signature. This decree sanctioned brutal reprisals against captured Soviet officers and political leaders, contributing to the immense suffering inflicted upon the Russian people. Moreover, Jodl was deeply involved in the planning and execution of Germany's occupation policies. These policies often resulted in widespread devastation and human rights abuses. As the tide of war turned against Germany, Jodl found himself in an increasingly untenable position. The moral implications of his actions became clear, but escape was impossible. Bound by loyalty and a sense of duty, he continued to serve a regime that was rapidly descending into chaos. Initially, Jodl, like many Germans, was swept up in the wave of nationalist fervor that fueled the Nazi regime's aggressive expansion. The early military victories instilled a sense of invincibility, making it difficult to question the regime's actions or its ultimate goals. However, as the war dragged on and the scale of Germany's atrocities became apparent, a growing chasm emerged between the idealized image of the German soldier and the brutal reality of the conflict. Despite his involvement in the war's atrocities, there is evidence to suggest that Jodl was not a fervent ideologue. His primary loyalty appeared to lie with the German army rather than the Nazi Party. As the war progressed, he became increasingly aware of the moral bankruptcy of the regime and the inevitable collapse of the Third Reich. The decision to break away from Hitler and the Nazi regime was a perilous one. Dissent was met with ruthless suppression. Trapped in a web of his own making, Jodl was forced to reconcile his growing moral qualms with the demands of his position. The weight of this internal conflict is evident in his later testimony at the Nuremberg trials, where he expressed regret for his role in the war and distanced himself from the atrocities committed by the regime. With the collapse of the German war machine, Alfred Jodl's world imploded. On May 7, 1945, he signed the unconditional surrender of the German armed forces in Reims, France. This act marked the beginning of a new and harrowing chapter for Jodl. Arrested by Allied forces, Jodl was transported to Nuremberg to stand trial before the International Military Tribunal. Accused of conspiracy to commit crimes against peace, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, he faced the daunting task of defending his actions in a court of law. Jodl's defense strategy centered on the assertion that he was merely following orders, a common plea among the accused. He attempted to distance himself from the atrocities committed by the Nazi regime, claiming ignorance or lack of involvement in many of the crimes. However, the evidence against him was overwhelming, implicating him directly in war crimes. The prosecution painted a damning portrait of Jodl as a key architect of the Nazi war machine. His role in planning and executing aggressive military campaigns, his knowledge of the Holocaust, and his unwavering loyalty to Hitler were presented as evidence of his guilt. In the end, the tribunal found Jodl guilty on all counts. Sentenced to death, Jodl met his fate on October 16, 1946, at Nuremberg prison. Alfred Jodl's legacy is a complex and contested one. As a high-ranking officer in the Nazi regime, he bears a heavy burden of responsibility for the atrocities committed under Hitler's rule. The Nuremberg trials cast him as a war criminal, and his execution served as a powerful symbol of justice. However, the question of individual culpability in a totalitarian regime is a complex one. Jodl's defense that he was merely following orders while rejected by the court resonates with a broader ethical dilemma. To what extent are individuals responsible for the actions of the state they serve? Jodl's story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the erosion of moral compass in the face of extreme circumstances. His life highlights the importance of critical thinking, independent judgment, and the courage to resist evil. In the decades since his death, the interpretation of Jodl's role has evolved. While there is no doubt about his involvement in a criminal enterprise, there is also a growing recognition of the complexities of human behavior under extreme pressure. His legacy serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of blind obedience and the importance of holding individuals accountable for their actions, even in the most challenging of circumstances. Jodl's story is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power, the corrosive influence of ideology, and the fragility of morality in the face of extreme circumstances. His life serves as a cautionary tale, urging us to remain vigilant against the rise of authoritarianism and to uphold the values of justice, humanity, and accountability.
In der vollen und klaren Erkenntnis, dass dieser Krieg entschied.
Want to learn more about complex historical figures? Click that like button and subscribe for more in-depth documentaries. Thank you for watching.